Standard Rugby Podcast with Lawrence Dallaglio.
Hello and welcome to the podcast this week. The team is back together. Sarra Elgin's here and Steve Cording are both here in the studio with me. Steve, Sarra, how are you?
Good, thanks, Lawrence.
Yeah, I'm really well, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well indeed. It's been quite the week, if I'm honest with you.
You've had a busy old week with your various get-togethers, celebrating the 20th anniversary of the World Cup win. What's it been like seeing the lads again?
Sorry, just say that again. What was it? Well, it was great fun. Thank you very much. Yeah, we I never thought I'd say this, but we played the Apollo, the iconic music venue in Hammersmith. And there was, they were obviously real rugby fans, like super fans, because you could have walked out on stage and said anything and they would have clapped, to be honest with you. But no, it was...
Did they laugh at all your jokes?
It was great to see everyone. And yeah, it has been 20 years. But it feels like it was yesterday, really, when you get together with a group of people that you've had that kind of experience with. Because we didn't just go to Australia and win in a week. We spent about 6 or 7 years together. So a 20-year break was probably enough time just to reflect.
Because that was going to be my next question, because obviously within a team you get on really well with some players and maybe not so much with others because of club rivalries or positions or whatever it may be. 20 years on, do you see people in a different way, in a different light?
Oh, I think you have an enormous respect for them from a rugby perspective, but I think you have an even greater respect for them in terms of, because you see them grow up, you've seen different sides to them all, really. So yeah, it was amazing, to be honest with you. I'm not sure how many of us would have reconnected had we not won.
That's true.
That's a question we'll leave, really.
I take it the Australians weren't getting back together 20 years later.
No, but do you know what? There was. It's very rare that, I mean, people ask me what was your favourite moment in the Rugby World Cup, 20 years ago, and it was really in that changing room for that 2 hours that we had together after the final whistle, because you knew that the minute you walked out that door, that team and your life and their lives would never be the same again.
That video that you put out was pretty special.
And so to get everyone back in a room without the public, without people jumping all over you, it was just the coaches, the players, your wives, partners. It was very special, actually, and it was very enjoyable. And we were back at Penny Hill Park. So
how was that? Yeah, was that Sunday night?
Saturday it was.
Saturday night. So,
yeah, they closed the bar early, which was very unusual. I said, you never used to do this when we were playing. I said, look, just imagine we've won again, okay? Because that's what we used to do. We used to walk in the bar and say, right, champagne.
Let's introduce this week's guest. He's the owner of one of London's most acclaimed restaurants with 2 Michelin stars to his name. He's also published numerous cookbooks and is a familiar face across our TV screens, having been judged and host of programmes such as MasterChef, The Professionals and 5 Star Kitchen. It's Michel Roux Jr. Hi, Michel, how are you?
I'm really good, actually. A little bit croaky, I must admit, but that's my grandson. I'll blame him.
You don't sound croaky. You sound perfect.
Oh, that's very kind of you. Thank you.
How old is your grandson?
He's 4 and very snotty. He comes back from the from the nursery with lots of bugs, but we still love him.
I'm sure you do. Some people might be a bit confused that we've invited you onto the podcast, actually, because it's not so Lawrence can get some tips for his culinary skills. It's actually because you're a massive rugby fan.
Yeah, I love my rugby and been a Quins fan for, ever since I can remember. I used to go very, very regularly, and then for some reason rugby changed. It was no longer at 3 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon. It became Friday evening, Saturday lunchtime, Saturday evening. It was all over the place. So I go a little less frequently. My next game down at the Stoop is the game against Toulouse, which should be a cracker. I mean, all the internationals should be back, and it should be a really good game.
Michel, did you play rugby at school as well?
Yeah. I played for my school. That's Emmanuel School in Battersea, and I was on the wing or 15.
Actually, I was on the wing.
Yeah, I was away. I was a long way away from the big lads like you.
Well, quite right.
You don't want to be in with them.
You're smart, which is probably why you managed to run so many marathons.
And I read that you're an honorary member at Harlequins.
Yeah.
What privilege do you get, or privileges do you get as an honorary member?
I don't know who bestowed that upon me, but it is there, isn't it? I don't know really. I mean, I pay for my tickets like everybody else.
He's got 2 stars, which is more than Harlequins have got.
That's true. Oh, here we go.
Lawrence, you're spiky today.
He is, isn't he?
He is.
I don't really dislike them anymore.
Don't dislike them anymore.
Gosh.
Absolutely.
So those are your club loyalties. When it comes to internationals, and obviously you're born in England, but obviously of French heritage. When it comes to Le Crunch, which team do you support?
I mean, I can't deny I've got French blood running through my veins, and it really does give me a huge buzz when I see France playing so well, like they have been over the last few seasons. But I still have a huge passion for the English team as well, and I want both teams to excel and do well. And it really annoys me when England don't do well. I mean, it really annoys me.
Yeah, it doesn't annoy the rest of all the people that play against them. Everyone seems to really dislike England, but it's you're absolutely right. It's the French have been playing some magnificent rugby, haven't they? And being a creative man yourself in the kitchen, I mean, they lost that creativity for a few years, didn't they? But they've really got it back. I mean, it was
definitely
it's superb. Now, listen, Sarra is partial to. A few cheesy chips, aren't you?
I do like cheesy chips. I'm so sorry. I do enjoy cheesy chips at a rugby match.
Before you go on air as well, isn't it?
Yes,
when
at a
we're
rugby
on
game.
TV, around all the various rugby grounds, we always, obviously having Italian heritage, it's quite important that I go and sample some of the delicacies around the rugby grounds.
What is Italian heritage about hog roasts that you have at Exeter?
There's no Italian food served at Exeter, is there really? So it hasn't quite stretched that far. What would you, I've seen you at games before. I've seen you at Quins. What would you? I mean, you probably look around the ground and think I better eat before I get there. Actually, if I'm honest with you, do you enjoy a pie and a pint, or is it more of a glass of red?
Oh, I mean, at Stoop, the hospitality is very good.
Is it?
Yeah, it is very good, I must say, and the food they do well, and the service is good. But I don't go there particularly for the food. And in fact, many years ago, I do remember being, sort of almost coerced into advising them and being a consultant. And I said, look, listen, I come here for enjoyment. I don't come here to work.
I'm not cooking your cheesy chips.
Do you ever cook cheesy chips?
Yeah, of course I do. Oh. There's a French equivalent for that.
There we go.
Rugby fans, if they want to go and eat, wonderful food, they should go to La Gavroche. They shouldn't have to go to a rugby stand. It's about the rugby.
Although, saying that, there are some great concessions at the Stoop, but also in other rugby grounds where you can get a good hog roast or a sausage sandwich or you name it, and it'll be good nowadays. And that has come leaps and bounds. You can go and enjoy a game of rugby, football, go to the races, and get decent food.
Okay, here's a question for you. As head chef of La Gavroche, as Lawrence just mentioned, you've had to create all sorts of special dishes. Okay, so if rugby was a meal for you, what would it be? That's a good question, right? That's one of my best, I think.
What would it be for you, Sarah?
Okay. Well,
it wouldn't be cheesy chips.
No, it wouldn't. Although saying that, it could be a truffade. Truffade is the equivalent of cheesy chips. It's potatoes that are cooked in duck fat and with lardons and loads of cheese on top. And it comes from the Auvergne region, which is, not rugby heartland, but they do play a lot of rugby there. But for me, if I were to choose one dish that kind of epitomises French rugby, it would be the cassoulet toulousain or castelnaudry, and it's slow cooked beans and with the confit canard on top and the sausages and everything, and it's just slow cooked and it's full of flavour, and it's what you want to eat on a cold winter's day.
Sounds good to me.
Notwithstanding that you're finishing at Le Gavroche and you want to spend time with your family, there is definitely a roadshow around European rugby to be had around. Because some of the venues in Lyon, and you think of some of the places you could go to down to Toulouse. There's an idea there, isn't there?
There is an idea.
We might revisit that.
And do it around food and wine
absolutely.
and these wonderful characters. I'd love to do that. I'm in.
That's great. Let's do it.
I'm going to sell that. Leave that to me.
So you've run 21 marathons, is that right? Is it an occupational hazard being a chef? Do you have to keep fit with the food that you're tasting and eating? Or
I think nowadays, yes, a lot of chefs are very conscious about their physical health and if you're going to work the long hours and you need to be fit. But for me, it wasn't just physical health that sort of pushed me into. Say push me is the wrong word, but sports drew me into it. It was mental health. I always used to run, even when I was smoking a packet or two of cigarettes a day, and I was drinking too much coffee and probably too much alcohol as well, and burning the candle both ends. But I was a really moody so-and-so. And I just and then I gave up smoking when Emily was born. So that's 32 years ago, and slowly but surely my running became more and more pleasurable. Going down round the block,
You could breathe.
too. I could breathe, but then within about a month, I suddenly realised that I no longer had these crazy mood swings. My migraines disappeared. I used to suffer from debilitating migraines, and even my wife said, "Go on." Yeah,
You're nicer.
You're nicer.
Go running as long as you like.
Go running. You come back and you're in a good mood. And I slept properly. I cut back on coffee, alcohol. I could think properly, and problem solving became so much easier. And I just became a much better person. And then I got the bug, and then I became obsessed with running marathons. But it's a good obsession to have, I must say.
It is.
Were you charity driven by it, or did you just do it for your own benefit?
No, charity driven as well, because I used to run for Victor, which is visually impaired children taking action, and I still raise funds for them. But I thoroughly enjoyed it, but not just, as I said, for physical health, but especially for mental health. And I'm a huge advocate for that. And you don't have to be obsessive like me and run marathons. Even 20 minutes of physical exercise, get the heart going. It's brilliant.
So what was from your first marathon you ran, the time, down to your latest one? Because I know Steve's going to ask you.
You're going to have a marathon off now, you and Steve.
I'm going to ask you, not comparing, but I'm just interested because you've got the right figure for a marathon runner.
Yeah. Well, my first one, I was really set on doing sub 3:30, and I did 3:27. So I was happy with that. But then I was desperate to break the 3. I never quite did it. I got to 3:13, which was good. And then I hit 50, as in the age 50, and it suddenly started to get a bit slower.
They weren't all in London. You could do marathons in cities
all over the world. Yeah, all over the world.
How many Londons have you done? I've done London. Here we go. You wait for it. I've done London 7 times. Not as quick as you, Sally. My first one was 3:35, but the last 3 I did with my father, who at the age of 70 decided to take up marathon running after having prostate cancer.
That's brilliant.
And then I did 3 with him, and then he carried on, so he did 10 in a row.
I thought you were going to say beat you.
Well, it felt like that in the end. Yeah,
That's amazing, Steve. You never told me that.
No,
That is amazing.
So his last marathon was when he was 80.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
That is great, because you can run at your own speed. You don't have to.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's
what happens when you get overtaken by an orange or something, or by someone dressed as a horse?
Well, you know you're in trouble then.
It's slightly worrying.
Well, one of our former sponsors, their bottle, the London Pride bottle, overtook me a couple of times. He was actually quite quick though, so yeah, it does get a bit demoralising when that happens. You still running now? Or?
Not as much. My knees are knackered.
Yeah, same.
Knees are knackered. But I still keep fit and cycle and go to the gym a lot. And yeah, it's an important part of my routine.
Yeah.
Coming back to the question, I'm 13 London.
13.
Took the decision. The lease is coming to an end next year, so it just feels right. And I'm 63 years old, so I'm thinking, look, hang on a minute. Do I really need to renegotiate a lease and go through all of that? And so I'm taking the decision when I'm at the top of my game, as it were. Yeah. It's not somebody else taking the decision for me. So I'm in control. Yeah. And previously, I felt that Le Gavroche was the monster, was in control of my life. Yeah. Whereas now I've flipped on its head and I am in control of Le Gavroche. So I'm keeping the name.
Liberating.
It is very liberating.
And you're going out on a high. I mean,
going out on a high,
exactly. Not the pandemic, not with people walking out the door. It's on your terms, and I think it's a bit like in sport. You don't get to write your own script, but you've done that beautifully. So
I'm guessing you can't squeeze us in for a table next week. In a minute, you fully booked up.
Well,
booked out. We do have a Christmas do next week.
We do.
We haven't booked anyway yet.
Let me tell you now that there is a fine cellar at Le Gavroche. So we do need to discuss, maybe not on air, but off air, what's happening to the £2.5 million worth of wine that is in the cellar.
Really, £2.5 million.
Yes.
Wow.
I mean, that's
we can help you out with, Michelle. We can help you out with getting rid of some of that
That's
if you want us
impressive.
to. Right. As you guys may or may not know, Lawrence here has also dabbled in the world of cookbooks
Here we are.
with his Italian. Is there anything you haven't done?
Listen, my father was in the food business all his life, and he desperately wanted to do that.
Oh, that's cute.
So
Nice.
there we go. I've shot you down there.
You have actually. I'm going to hide under my rock now.
I could not do that with him.
Oh, that's really cute.
And it's our Italian family recipe.
Before we let you go, Michelle, we thought we should have a little head-to-head between you and Lawrence, just to test your knowledge on each other's specialist subject. Okay, so I've got only five quick fire questions for you on rugby, and 5 which Mr. Dallaglio will have to answer about food and drink.
Okay.
So as our guest, you can go first. Okay, Michelle. Which player has made the most appearances for Harlequins?
Danica.
Correct. Do you know how many?
Ooh.
Roughly.
Oh, no.
361. But you get
It was in the 300s.
One out, one.
And counting.
And counting.
Yeah, and still going very strong.
keep
What a
score.
player, eh?
You keep score, Steve.
I'll
Okay.
keep score.
Since the championship became known as the Six Nations in 2000, how many times have the French held the title?
Gee, 6.
Whoa!
Are you? You were smashing this, yes,
Yeah,
that's
6.
correct. Well
I
done.
was
you.
thinking 5 or 6. But
That's good.
Well done, très bien.
Merci.
Okay. What are the 4 colours of the Harlequins rugby shirt? That's pretty easy, isn't it?
Well,
Or is
yeah,
it?
it's the quarters, isn't it? Brown, green, pink,
You will get that red.
Magenta.
Yeah, magenta.
Yeah,
Yeah,
magenta,
red and blue. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And
white.
blue.
Huh? Oh, blue.
Blue, red.
Oh!
We'll give you half a point.
Get
for
half
that.
a point?
Yeah.
Get half a point.
Half
for
a
that.
point.
Okay. Who is French rugby's top try scorer of all time?
Philippe Saint-André.
No, it's actually your favourite player, according to Wikipedia.
Blanco?
Blanco, oui.
Is he really?
Sugar Puffs.
How many
Really?
tries has he scored?
Serge Blanco scored 38.
God, I used to smoke that a day.
Yeah. Really?
Yes. And your final question. The Stoop is named in memory of a former player who made 182 appearances for the club. Do you know his first name?
That
That is a
That's
hard
quite a tough
one.
question.
That
It's
is
a
a
good
hard
question. Very good question. I didn't
yeah.
know that one. No.
I should know this. No, I can't. No.
It's Adrian.
Adrian.
Yeah, that was a
Stoop.
tough one, though. That was a tough one. Right, you started so well,
Adrian.
Michelle.
No, hold on.
Yeah, I did start well.
did.
Two and a half to beat, Long.
Okay.
Oh, well.
I'm not. Don't worry. I'm not holding out much hope for Lawrence. I'm sure you'll be fine. You met him, right? Okay, Lawrence. Oh, see, this is quite easy. A Magnum holds 2 standard bottles of champagne. A Gerbon, have I said that right? Holds 4. But how many bottles of champagne is a Balthazar?
Balthazar.
Oh, that's quite tough, isn't it? I mean, I've drunk a few of those, so I should
I was
know.
going to say,
Of a night.
Oh, yeah. Balthazar, it's not Nebuchadnezzar. It's, I'm going to go 12.
16. Wrong. I feel like we're educating here, though, as we're going
we are.
along. In Italy, the Feast of 7 Fishes is celebrated on which day?
Oh, for goodness sake.
I told you you won't get any of
Oh.
them.
Feast of 7 Fishes.
So, I mean, it's Christmas Eve. No.
Correct.
Hey.
Okay, 1.
Well, you have fish on Christmas Eve. So,
Okay.
oof.
There you go.
What's the minimum amount of time that Parmesan cheese needs to age?
Oh.
You would know this for sure,
The
wouldn't you?
minimum amount of time.
Minimum, yeah.
Years, obviously. I'd say 3 years.
12 months. Wrong.
Minimum,
Yeah.
Autumn King, Figaro, and Saint Valerie are all varieties of which vegetable?
Do you know what? He doesn't even know this, or he's just scratching his
I'm not. I could take an educated guess, but
Have a guess. Carrot, you're right. What a guess. What a guess.
That out.
It had to be a
That's
root.
did.
It had to be
You
a
get,
root.
Okay.
you get this one, you win.
Yeah. What is the literal translation of ciabatta?
Ciabatta. Oh, I know this. I should know it.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
ciabatta.
gonna start counting down. You've got 10 seconds.
Countdown.
This,
Put him under
this
pressure.
podcast isn't 3 hours long. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6,
Ciabatta, I don't know. Do you know what? I don't know. What is it?
3. It's slipper.
Slipper, ciabatta.
Slipper.
So close. But Michelle, I guess you have won by the skin of your teeth.
By
Half a point.
By magenta.
Drop
by
goal
blue.
in the last minute.
You'll be glad there's 4 colours on the Harlequin shirt. Half a point.
Oh gosh, that was worth it.
That was good. It was good. Thank
He's
you.
actually fuming now that he's lost
yeah,
as well.
No, just that, when I got hit with a ciabatta quite a lot when I was younger. So So I should have known that, shouldn't I? Michel, it's been an absolute delight to have you on the podcast. We look forward to seeing you both at Harlequins and at international rugby matches around the world. I shall work on that European food journey. All the very best with La Gavroche. It's the end of an era. It's without doubt one of the most iconic restaurants in the world. And if you need any help with the cellar, then
Let us know.
we'll be along next week. If you've got any wine left after Christmas. But listen, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.